Dear Lord of freedom, dear guide through the desert, dear Father of hope, dear friend, dear light, use our heart as thou wilt. Use our heart. Live in it, soften it, and harden it as you need to. And work your work inside our heart so we may follow. I'm not telling you what the text means. That's number one. I'm telling you a story about what and how I heard within me when I re-immersed myself in the language and the urgency of those who were hearing God speaking within and without them back then. I have no power over you. I have been made to look into my heart and listen and wait until I could answer in the face of this meeting the simple question, what canst thou say? In the exchange, in the digging, in the surrender to what has been given, this is what Carl Magruder can say. While we might dither on the shores of the already parted Red Sea for a long time, Pharaoh's army is right behind. Climate disruption, automated militarism, increased wealth gap, racial injustice, erosion of democratic institutions, etc., etc., etc. I couldn't help channeling Yul Brynner from one show into the other. It is amazing what spiritual growth some of the people I care for as a healthcare chaplain experience. But there's no doubt that that growth is aided by Pharaoh's army. Cancer, ALS, heart failure. This is a little more specific than the wisdom a desperate and unguided Parker Falmer got from an elder who never felt the way opening as such. She said, and she said it with a grin, but a lot of way has closed behind me. And that's had the same guiding effect. A lot of way has closed behind me, and that's had the same guiding effect as way opening. I said briefly in my nightmare of finding myself pursued by Pharaoh's army with the Red Sea already open led to my stillborn certainty. And that, I said that when I went back to the text, I found that the people had kvetched. But in the text, neither the people nor Moses hesitated. The sea parted and off they went. They didn't hesitate. The text didn't have the hesitation. The hesitation was in my heart. The hesitation was in my condition. And therefore, when I needed an image, to get my own sense of my condition. I was given the image in biblical terms, and I saw myself trapped in my own hesitation with the way already open. But what I remember the Bible led to that terrifying midrash, and midrash is many things in Judaism, and it's a very specific technical term. It's not mine to teach you what midrash is, but among other things, midrash is a retelling of the story in ways that leads us to an understanding of what the Spirit is telling us. And so my midrash of the stillborn certainty, my terror, my condition, grafted onto the story. And that grafting happens so I could hear something. Then I went back to the text. I'm going to reread this with a different pronoun. The red in the text, in the screen, it's within what's in the translation that we're using. But I'm going to voice it like this. Then I said to Moses, because there's no graves in Egypt, you taken me away to die in the wilderness? Why have you so dealt with me to bring me up out of Egypt? Is this not the word that I told you in Egypt, saying, let me alone, that I may serve the Egyptians, for it would have been better for me to serve the Egyptians than I should die in the wilderness. Damn it. And then the Spirit that gave it forth, taking advantage of my condition, or my great capacity to kvetch, twisted my nose and rubbed it into the following lesson of redirection. And this is in the text. And the angel of God, who went usually before the camp of Israel, moved and went behind them. And the pillar of cloud went from before them and stood behind them. So it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. Thus it was a cloud and darkness to the one, and it gave light by night to the other, so that one did not come near the other all that night. In the surface of the text, that maneuver of the all-powerful God in the moment, deploying its power in such a astounding cinematic way. The device, it's protection. It keeps the armies away from the people until later on, when the day comes, because in your world, it's very hard to do anything by night. The sea will open, but not yet. What I got from this, which is not a text, quite, is a very explicit image of how a leading that's beckoning you from in front of you and pulling you, sometimes turns and gets behind you and closes your way back. And all you have is a way forward. In conversation with my elders yesterday, one remembered the echo from her youth. And then we looked in the text. In the ears of our heart, we heard from Isaiah 30:21. Whenever you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way. Walk in it. I'm not going to tell you ever what anything means, but I'm going to testify that these words tell me something very clearly, very now, very much from my condition. Whenever I turn to the right or to the left, my ears will hear a voice behind me saying, this is the way, walk in it. When I was a recalcitrant, modernist, enlightened, a little less than universalist, but nevertheless encouraged to dismiss the Bible by the gateway of Quakerism that it was my lot to come in through. I looked at this moment in the text where it is God that hardens Pharaoh's heart, and I was horrified. The guy's going to get slammed. And it's very clear in the text that in very special, very, very critical moments, it is God that hardens Pharaoh's heart. How fair is that? When you go back to Egypt, see that you do all these wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand. But I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. Moses knew it. He was told, it was in the remit. When you shall say to Pharaoh thus, Israel is my son, my firstborn. So I say to you, let my son go that he may serve me. But if you refuse him to let him go, indeed, I will kill your son, your firstborn. Moses gets from God the nuclear option that's going to be deployed in the 10th plague. When all the other plagues don't work, mostly because God himself is hardening Pharaoh's heart. I'm showing you 3 translations here. And I want to talk a little bit about the Jerusalem Bible first. And the first plague, the Jerusalem Bible says, Pharaoh remained obstinate. And the Jerusalem Bible retains that abstraction of obstinacy, and the Jerusalem Bible with its abstraction does nothing to me. It moves me not. It speaks not to me. One translation of the same word doesn't do it. It's the other translations that keep the heart in it that move me. In the translation that Jews use, here in the first plague, it says Pharaoh's heart stiffened. And in the New King James, Pharaoh's heart grew hard. Purple means that it's not clear who hardens Pharaoh's heart. Purple is actually, according to the scholars, the closest rendition of that impersonal conjugation in the Hebrew, where the hearts get stiffened. You don't know who does it. Well, it isn't in the text who does it. But in the red, and again, different translations do different things. If you look at the second plague, the red, he hardened his heart. But when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and did not heed them, as the Lord had said. That would have been, if that had carried on throughout the text, it would be reasonable to say, oh, Pharaoh hardened his heart. Pharaoh hardened his heart all by himself, and therefore he's going to get slammed. But notice, and I'm just going to let you weigh the color. You can do your own chromatic analysis of these translations. Purple, impersonal. Red, Pharaoh did it. And blue, the Lord did it. By the way, Yahweh made Pharaoh stubborn in the Jerusalem translation, and doesn't say anything to me. But the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh in King James, or the Lord stiffened the heart of Pharaoh in the Tanakh. That is it. In the seventh plague, Pharaoh does it himself in some parts, and then in other parts, the heart does it itself. The heart does it itself. The heart gets hardened somehow. Eighth plague, the Lord does it all. Ninth plague, the Lord does it all. 10th plague, the Lord does it all. And every now and then, over and over again, the Lord does it to magnify his glory. Magnify his glory. What's up with that? How easy it was for me to balk against that harshness. And yet, this time around in my condition, whenever I heard that I had to change my pronouns, the Lord hardened my heart. And I had some reasons for not doing it. And whenever I heard that I had to pay reparations, the Lord hardened my heart. And I had some reason for not doing it. Whenever my yearly meeting came up with a minute of launching into a comprehensive program of anti-racism, the Lord hardened my heart. And I said, I'm not going to object to that, but it's going to, and I actually think that that's the way we should go, but I don't think I can comply. And what I saw then is that the very hardening of my heart prevented me from saying, oh, this is a good idea. I'm going to go along with a good idea. The hardening of my heart prevented me from agreeing without a transformation. And my heart was hardened, and I did not agree without a transformation. And later, when the blessing came, my heart broke. Glory be to God. It is a hardened heart that often, sometimes, perhaps every now and then, the Spirit gives us, the Spirit makes in us, so that we don't just agree, so that we don't just go along, so that we have to wait for the heart to break. And for the convincement, for the conviction to lead into convincement through the rough handle of God in the hardened heart. Those of you let's leave it at that. Off you go to your little church. Off you go to your little meeting. I have every certainty that you don't need a query. go.